TalkinRonpa. Welcome back again to the TalkinRonpa mini podcast with me, RJ Waters, and Blindcat.
Hello.
Where we discuss our playthrough of Danganronpa V3 Killing Harmony. Quick heads up, the usual. If you haven't played Danganronpa 1 or 2,
don't watch this.
If you haven't played Danganronpa V3 up to where we're at, which today is the end of Deadly Life investigation for Chapter 2.
Don't watch this.
And it's time to click the red X and moving on. So, Blindcat, who you think done it?
Isn't that the question of the day? Who do you think done it?
Well, before we get into that, I do have some thoughts one to talk over. So the victim was Ryoma. Everybody knows it. A sad day. Where do you think the body was? How do you think the body got to the tank?
I think it was fairly obvious how the body got moved. With all the... This is where to go. There was the scratches on his handcuffs. The steel?
The window pane?
No, not the window pane. The what is that thing called? The tennis net cable.
Oh, right, the cable from the tennis net?
Yeah, and the third story window. So he got ziplined to the tank.
Yeah. Oh, I meant specifically when Gonta jumped up on the tank during the trick and Ryoma wasn't in the tank.
Oh no, the piranha tank.
Yeah, that's how he got to the piranha tank.
Yeah.
Was the zip line.
Yeah.
How'd he get into the tank below?
He got dropped in.
Okay, explain this, smart guy. Wouldn't the piranhas have just eaten him?
No.
Why not?
Because the tank was packed.
Packed with piranha?
Yeah. There's no room to move.
Oh, do you think that's why he wasn't eaten?
Yes.
Well, let me lay it on you.
Piranhas have to tear. They have to grab, tear, and swim away.
No. You've got it backwards. The fact that they were bunched up wasn't the cause of not being eaten. It was the effect.
What?
The reason those piranhas were bunched up is because they were compacted to make room for the body. They were compacted with a square glass panel.
Oh, you think that's where the square glass panel came from?
Oh, yeah.
You think the glass got dropped with Ryoma?
Yeah. That's why it looked like there were more piranha than before, is because...
And there's wood covering all the sides, so you wouldn't see the back sides.
Mm-hmm. So that's
that
where...
would make sense.
I think that's where the corpse was hidden, and that's why there were extra piranha.
I thought the square glass pane was to divide the tank in case something went wrong, but I guess that makes more sense.
That actually adds into my second point about why it cannot be the culprit. Why the culprit cannot be, one, Angie Yanaga.
Because she mentioned that the piranha seemed more packed than yesterday.
Yep, that's right. Because I was extra suspicious of Angie going up into the beginning of the investigation phase, and then I realized that she was actually giving useful information, and the culprit would have hidden that from me. So she's suspicious but innocent.
You know who didn't give good information? Kibo.
Kibo is a suspect because he helped set up the tank. As
well as Kaito and Kurumi.
Kaito and Kibo moved the tank in. Kurumi just did the curtain. I'm not sure what Angie contributed. I think it was just ideas, the plan.
She got the piranhas. Or she suggested the piranhas.
So that explains that trick. How do you think Kimiko did hers?
She jumped in, swam out the window at the side, got underneath the staircase, which had obvious hinges on it, and a door, which you couldn't look at for some reason. She changed clothes in there and walked out.
I really thought that figuring out how the trick was done would have been a bigger portion of this mystery.
I really would have thought the trick would have been at least as complicated as the murder.
Well, actually, I hesitate to tell you you're wrong on 2 accounts out of 2 so far. It was actually, magic.
Oh.
That's how she did the trick. Everybody's going to think it's how you did it, but no, it's actually magic for... That's
actually how the culprit got out.
That's why you couldn't click on the hinges, is because they don't open. There's actually magic that dried her off.
Oh,
So when I first got up on that tank and climbed the ladder to look at the window pane, I thought that he had been handcuffed to the bar, and the way that he was, because I thought there would be a reason that he was eaten by piranhas, like why the culprit would need that to happen to obfuscate how it was pulled off. So I thought maybe Ryoma's arm was detached at the shoulder, and that's how he was able to slip from being handcuffed around the window pane to fall into the tank. Was actually his arm was detached and just limply hanging inside of his jacket.
that's gross.
Yeah. So what do you think about that theory?
Well, it's completely unnecessary since it's the divided tank. It could have just been in the water.
Yeah, because I realized later that he was not handcuffed to the pane. The pane was scratched like his handcuffs were because of the tennis net cable that was used as a zip line from the third floor prison ultimate prisoner's lab to the second floor window of the gym. So that was how the body was moved. But if he was like still, if his handcuffs were used like as the thing to go down the zip line, there would still be like a loop formed like with his arms and the chest and the handcuffs. How did he get off of the?
They would have had to have removed the tennis cable during the night, because you can't enter the pool, but you can still get up there towards where the net is. Because the culprit had to have removed the tennis net from both ends in order to place it back in the ultimate tennis lab.
Oh, well, here I'll throw you a little. You've got that wrong.
Hmm?
The pool rules poster in the pool. It details the dimensions of the pool and the pool room. The pool is 39 feet wide, with 8 feet of buffer between the pool edge and the wall on both sides. That's 39 plus 8 plus 8, which is 55 feet. That cable's only 50 feet long. Plus, you're factoring in the fact it's not a horizontal line, but at an angle. You have to do trigonometry to figure out, or is that just geometry? To figure out how long the cable would need to be, but it's longer than the 50 feet that the cable is, so. Hey, explain that, smart guy. I think it has something to do with the wet rope that was sitting at the, in the puddle by the staircase next to the tank. Which I assume is also connected to the wet rope tied to the wet inner tube in the wet pool.
Okay. What if...
Was that a Shuichi impression? Was that his voice clip? Oh, okay.
What if Ryoma was suspended by a rope on the zip line, and when he got to the end, the momentum swung him forward and flung him into the tank?
What?
And then the piece of fabric broke at the end of his fling and fell into the pool.
I had not even considered that piece of fabric into my... Oh no. Ryoma's clothes were recovered and put in a pile, but they weren't a truth bullet.
They were folded, we couldn't see what they were.
We couldn't examine them. I think makes more sense because I don't understand why it's wet. Why it's still wet. That rope that was on the other side of the gym, because the culprit was not allowed to enter the gym, which is why this entire zip line was set up, because they weren't allowed to bring the body in through the front door. They weren't allowed to enter it themselves. Why is that rope wet, and why is a portion of it on the gym side? I almost think that the rope was draped over the pool side window pane. If that would scratch it up or not, I don't know. One end was tied to that inner tube, and it was cut in the pool room, dropping the tire into the pool.
Oh, if he was flung, Ryoma could have been suspended by in the inner tube as well.
Yeah, if he was put in the inner tube.
Mm-hmm.
Then what's the need to handcuff him?
Maybe that was during the drowning, because there was also scratches on the sink.
And that doesn't explain the handcuff scratches, if he was just in the inner tube, or how the inner tube got all the way back into the pool. I think
maybe it was when it swung backwards after the fling, or maybe during the retrieval.
Because I can't think of what the other end of the cable was tied to. If one end was tied to the prison room shower,
A drone.
the drone, that would just make him be able to slide down the zip line and fall off the end because it's not tied.
No, it couldn't reach.
Oh yeah, he fell off the inner tube and bounced in.
But if the drone was strong enough to
Carry
Ryoma, the zip line, and an inner tube, and a rope,
you wouldn't need anything but Ryoma in that equation. You wouldn't need because the zip line, the cable has to be tied at the other end to something that the culprit could access, which isn't the gym window pane because it's too high.
Okay, the zip line was a guideline to drop Ryoma onto the inner tube where he bounced up.
No, I just said that. Oh, okay. I don't understand how it got wet, but the rope was tied around the zip line, dropped down just at one end, and dropped down, and was used to climb up to the second end of the... No, because the cable's not long enough to reach from room to room. And how'd they tie the zip line to begin with? What? This doesn't make any sense. I think the fact that the inner tube has one end of the rope is going to be very important. Oh! What about the diving board?
Yeah, you could tie the zip line to the diving board, but
the top of the diving... But then how do you get to the gym window? Tie the other side?
Because then you'd have to go upwards, right? Because I think the diving... The furthest... The top of the diving board is only halfway across the gym. And that's like the only one you can fling from. But then how do you get from the zip line from a lower point to the diving board?
I think the diving board is higher than the gym window, but it's too far away, like reach.
But I don't think the diving board is lower than the third floor window, is it?
The diving board is lower than the third floor window, I believe.
Yeah, then maybe.
I don't even know if the gym window was open. Oh,
they probably opened it beforehand. They probably were one of those people who were helping set up.
You know who was right next to that gym window?
Kurumi,
when she was hanging the curtains. She could have opened it and tied the rope then, but then it would have been just sitting in the pool. Yeah, and then gave her entire
plan to Kibo. Well, maybe Kurumi just thought that Ryoma needed to have cleaned up his act.
So, are you in agreement? My number one culprit for this murder is Kirumi. Get that out of the way now.
Oh, I mean, I see it's very obvious, but it was Kibo.
You think it was obviously Kibo?
Oh no, it's so obvious it's Kurumi, it's Kibo.
Oh, the lie route. You just lie to yourself and then you don't have to kill off Kurumi. Monokuma says that nobody was alive in the pool or the gym during the nighttime.
Yeah.
So where was Ryoma stored, do you think?
Third floor.
Stored in the third floor? Where do you think he was drowned?
The sink.
The sink in the prison room?
Mm.
Handcuffed him, put him in the sink, tied up the sink with the cable, filled the sink up. Is that how you think it went?
Mm.
What kept him from just breathing at the surface?
Maybe he couldn't reach the bottom of the sink.
He couldn't touch. I think that has to do with why the piranhas ate him. Maybe he was knocked out, and that's why he was able to be taken, because he also could, screamed.
No, I think he was already dead before he hit the piranha pool.
Yeah, no, I mean, to obfuscate wounds. Because maybe he was knocked out over the head or something.
Mm.
I don't understand why you would have to cable up the sink to drown Ryoma. Why wouldn't you just use your hands? How are you making sure that he's not screaming? What if somebody walked in? They have to... Why would they have to do it that way? Drown him? If it would make more sense to me that there weren't scratches on the sink. Okay, that's where he was drowned, was in that sink. But not with cables tying it up. I also thought maybe he was drowned in Kurumi's washing machine.
Maybe the cables were tied so that they would cover the top of the sink.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It would be really hard to make a seal that you wouldn't be able to, just put your mouth up to and breathe through cables.
I mean, eventually, you wouldn't have the strength anymore, right?
If you were treading water... I know Ryoma's short, but he's not that short. He's almost too big to fit in this thing. even if the net still put like up in the room, so I don't think the net was just the cable. I think a big part of figuring out, at least for the characters, who done it is the culprit. The culprit's motivation video was taken away. Or Kaito supposes that Ryoma had the culprit's motivation video. And back when I was still contemplating Kaito as the culprit, I thought maybe he was misleading Shuichi on this point.
I didn't think it could be Kaito because we just freshly lost Kaede, and then Suichi did that whole spiel about him making a big mistake in trusting people, or how much it would hurt to trust people.
Yeah, but then
Kaito was our partner. I was like, no, that's too dumb for Kaito to be the culprit with the setup.
It was really suspicious to go from, okay, I really trust Kaito, to saying in blue text how dangerous it can be to trust somebody here. Doesn't that mean
that's a little too dumb?
Yeah, well, but so was all the stuff they did with Kaede. They were too blatant.
They wouldn't do it twice in a row.
Yeah, I think not. But I think that would have been clever on Kaito's part if Ryoma didn't, because Ryoma doesn't have Kaito's video. We know that. We have Kaito's video. If Kaito knew that Ryoma didn't have his video, convincing Shuichi that the person on Ryoma's video is the culprit would be very clever.
Kaito could have snuck into our room and watched our video after he told us to get the hell out when Gonto was chasing us. Because I think you left the door wide open when you ran out.
We left him in that room. He ran past us into the room and hid, like, behind us. Then we peeked out. Oh my god, you're so right. That's when he saw the video. And there was still, like, an hour. Well, I don't even know how long we were knocked out for, but there is plenty of time for him to have set up the murder after watching that video. You were so right.
And Kaito maybe felt guilty, and later on said, I think I was wrong before, maybe we should have all watched that
videos together.
Those videos together.
Oh, was he the one that brought that up?
I think it was him, right? It wasn't Kokichi.
It was somebody that was not at the insect meet and greet. And yeah, that sounds...
I think it was Kaito because, yeah,
that sounds right.
No one else will say it.
Yeah, that Kokichi was actually backhandedly trying to make them work together, but not admit it, by having everybody watch it in solidarity.
If it's not Kaito, do you think Kaito will remain our partner?
No.
No?
I don't see that.
We'll be manning up and taking the investigations on our own, moving up from that sidekick position?
If he isn't the culprit this time, I think he's going to be a victim next time.
Oh. What? But then the world would lose such a star. Luminary of the stars.
Not Solomon Starbuck. Okay, so Shuichi had a flashback at some point to when he was in the memory machine, that thing that manipulates the memories.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that he doesn't want to live, he wants to die with everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
What does he mean by everyone else?
So, what I was thinking was not actually die, but he was erasing the Suichi that was the ultimate detective. And I think everyone looking at those memorials thought that they died, because this is kind of like a witness protection kind of deal, where they erased their former selves. So
I see.
Everyone at the world at large and they themselves do not know that those ultimates were
it's a fake out.
And so to everyone else and themselves, they died.
It's a fake out. So when they were mourning Kaede, they weren't mourning her death at the hands of Monokuma. They were mourning her mysterious death.
Her mysterious about. Yeah, because the ultimate pianist and everyone else has disappeared.
That explains why there are 16, and this killing game can only at maximum kill 14.
Mm.
It doesn't explain the final line that Monokuma has before we go into preparations for the trial, that everybody else in the world is dead. You were the only 13 alive? You remember that line? As in, not with us, as in, you were the only 13 left in the world?
I don't know what the deal with that line is. I don't know what it means, but I do not think it's literal.
Remember, Monokuma can't lie, so
Right, but I don't think that line was literal.
he did.
I'm not quite sure what that meant, though.
I think it's got to be they abandoned the planet
Mm.
to escape ultimate despair.
Luminary of the Stars.
Oh my god! And they're probably, if they haven't already, they're probably like gonna like obliterate the Earth or exterminate all life on it to kill off ultimate despair permanently. Maybe that's why everybody else is dead, or maybe that's going to be like the big thing that we need to get out of this place now in the final chapter. It's gonna happen to us.
I highly doubt that the prior survivors to the Danganronpa games would be gone.
They're probably one of the ones that left the planet with the Future Foundation.
But then, wouldn't they also be part of this world that is outside? But if there's no one outside, then that means they would be absent too, right?
I think he means literally in the world, as in on the planet, and everybody else is on the International Space Station or something. And probably in between games, if that's the case, they'll just repopulate the Earth. Because Ultra Despair Girls 2 has to happen. Unless it takes place in between 2 and 3.
I thought it did.
It's probably... Well, I don't even know if it's a real thing, or if it was just a gag to click on that thing.
Not even canon. Genocider Show wakes up at the end.
It was all her fantasy, Toko's fantasy. You noticed on the door leading to the casino and the hotel, there's some almost
Cat
Latin
faces?
There's,
Oh.
it's weirdly formatted, but there's some almost Latin written on there. Avaritia Luxalia. And
But it was weirdly spaced.
It was weirdly spaced for some reason. You thought maybe as we progress through the game, more letters would fill in.
I thought it would be something we got as a prize for winning the trials.
Oh, like the message appearing more and more?
No, like an item or a transparency or something we can overlap with it.
Oh, okay. Visor.
Or some kind of a script.
Because you didn't realize that it actually spelled out two different words if you looked at it just from left to right.
They don't look like words to me.
Well, avaritia is just Latin for greed.
So the other one would be Latin for lust?
Probably. It's probably just greed and lust, so I don't think it's actually anything more than just art style. Something to put on that door. Oh, here's just a random thought apropos of nothing in this case. I don't know if we've already made this joke before, but we have an ultimate inventor, Miyu Iruma. Everybody's lost their memory. Maybe she invented the ultimate robot.
Didn't Kibo mention the name of his creator, and it wasn't Miyu?
I don't think it was by name. I think he just made reference.
I'm pretty sure he actually mentioned it by name.
I don't think it was by name. I think it was just references to his creator.
I could have sworn he did.
No, because I would have written down that name as somebody that's behind all this, probably.
Well, you think someone made the Monokuma robots and they didn't just spontaneously appear?
I do think somebody made these. I do think Monokumas were manufactured.
Well,
somewhere on the premises.
We know that the Monocubs came around because Monokuma sometime between Danganronpa 2 and 3 got married.
Oh, and another thing that doesn't actually pertain to this trial, I just noticed, this one's a serious one. Maki, she keeps referring to herself in the third person as the ultimate child caregiver. I've already mentioned here I'm suspicious about that title, just because we also have villains that are children, and care rhymes with bear. But I don't think she is the ultimate child caregiver. Still, I think that was Rantaro.
You think that mole under her eye is not the only mole?
Oh my god, she's the traitor. I think because Rantaro didn't remember his ultimate ability, I think maybe Maki just took it over. If she's in on it with the Monokubs.
We've always had some kind of a mole of sorts.
Yeah, we've always had a traitor. They haven't mentioned a traitor, which usually they bring up by chapter 2, I think. At least the idea of a traitor and the idea of the mastermind being one of them, and the two being different things, is usually brought up by now. That would explain why Maki's not letting people into that ultimate caregiver's lab. I think there might be something in there that tips off that it wasn't her. I think maybe the Mono Cubs... I think Monophony was in charge of the memory manipulation for this wake-up. I think she intentionally took away Rontaro's memory of it. And now that he's dead, there's nothing... He can't, like, walk into that room and be reminded of it. Which leaves the mystery of what actual talent Maki Harukawa has.
Ultimate Despair Girls.
Ultimate Despair Girl 2. Oh my god. That was all the notes I had. Did you have anything that stood out to you? Any wild accusations you'd like to toss out at our cast?
Yeah, but how did Kibo pull this off?
Monokuma keeps saying, or said that one time, that nobody alive was in the pool or gym, and Kokichi would argue that Kibo is not alive, so maybe he's skirting the rules.
I mean, I don't mean to sound robophobic here, but...
They did bother to explain, like, how Kibo responds to water, and then they also threw him into the tank. Which I had forgotten about till just now.
So Kibo does have a variety of functions.
He's only 200 pounds, which is still a lot for being 5'3", but it's not like...
He's more solid than a human, though.
He's probably got sharper edges.
He's probably not squishy, so he wouldn't absorb the impact into his body as much when thrown against glass.
Sharper image. So if you had to pick a culprit right now, who would you lock it in as?
Kirbo.
Kirbo?
Kirbo.
Isn't that the thing that choked the Thousand Eyes Relinquish? The Yu-Gi-Oh anime?
The what?
Karibo. Little Karibo.
Yeah.
Anyway, cutting that out of this.
Karibo.
No, I'm cutting that out. Yeah, I think it's Kurumi. It all adds up.
I can see it might be Kurumi, maybe, but it's probably Kibo.
Who did I say that it was when it was obviously Kaede the very first time?
Did you have a lock?
It was before we started the investigation phase.
You thought it was Miyu.
I thought it could have been Miyu. I think that's who I locked it in. So, if you had to give the serious lock, it would also be Kurumi.
Yeah.
I think.
But it's Kibo.
Do you think her motivation was because Ryoma had her motivation video?
I think it was probably because she saw her motivation video and she wanted to get out. And Ryoma being a prisoner is kind of like the trash of society.
That's why, because it doesn't have to be the person who owns the mono ad.
No, because everyone might have gotten their own to view after.
She could have seen anybody's when she was cleaning their room or something.
Well, yeah, but also I don't think she would have because that's unprofessional. But
it was murder.
Mono Dam returned all the mono pads.
No, we were wrong about that.
We were?
No, they returned it as they were.
Oh.
Or else this whole thing would have been off about which one Ryoma had and why Ryoma's isn't in the room anymore. Because Ryoma's room didn't have his pad in it because the corporate took it. Everybody would be watching their own motivation video right now. The only reason I can think of why she would kill Ryoma specifically is if she found out somehow that Ryoma had her video. Ryoma refused to show it, and she killed him for it.
She must have checked it while cleaning the room, Sam, but that's really unprofessional.
I think she would have killed Kibo. Nobody else. Kibo's if I had to kill somebody, it would be Kibo. He's the least human.
Well, Kibo is the cleanest one there.
Yeah, unless maybe Ryoma allowed himself to be... Even though they went through the big to-do about him not actually wanting to die.
There was something of a struggle at the sink, though.
Those scratches?
Yeah.
I thought that was from the chains wrapped around
Well, I
him.
mean, just tying him wouldn't make only scratch... Oh, and whatchamacallit, those scratches there, right?
Right.
You'd have to be actually rubbing it back and forth or something.
So I know the who and pretty much the how, except for the length of the cable specifics. I don't understand the why specifically Ryoma.
Because he's trash of society. If you had to pick someone to kill, I guess you would just pick Ryoma.
I wouldn't. He's like my favorite character. if they're gonna try to, if this is supposed to be the final game in the series, at one point are we going to have a previously murdered person be the culprit? Because we can still choose their death portraits.
Didn't we do that?
We did that
Or
for
not
the
yet?
we did that for the suicide.
Oh yeah.
But what if somebody set up a murder before they died, and it went off 2 chapters later? Rondaro.
Dun, 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 dun.
That's what he meant by the ultimate hunt. Oh my god, is Kurumi the ultimate hunt?
You mean Maki?
Yeah, Maki, the ultimate hunt.
I pretty sure the Ultimate Hunt was an event, not a person.
Ultimate hunter?
The ultimate suspicious.
Oh, you mean Kibo?
It's not even a real person.
Last time I think you said that his recording function would have to come into play again.
It looks like it's not going to.
Yeah, it looks like, at least not this chapter, it's not going to be crucial evidence of how he done it. If, neither of us looked up any information about, like, the proceedings of this game or how it plays out or how many chapters there are, but if the lie route, I've heard that term, lie route of the trial is different, like different outcomes, maybe we could somehow finger Kibo for this one? If we're still playing as
wouldn't that
Kaede.
kill everybody?
Unless there's some
Unless
reason...
it actually changes the world, like...
Oh my god, yeah, it's actually, we're in a giant Schrodinger's box.
So, the culprit isn't created until we point the finger.
Schrodinger's cat ears beanie on Ryoma's head. I don't know. I'm excited to see how done it. How done it, Kurumi.
Yeah, Kibo. Okay, so Kibo used his jetpack.
He powered up, finally.
We don't know what's in his room. He could just have detachable parts.
I'm sure there are a lot of USB ports.
Murder.exe.
Murder 2.0.
Kibo's the murderer.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Spoiler alert.
Good information.
I'll keep that in the back of my head during the trial. Whenever Shuichi tries to point the finger anywhere else, I'll just turn off my Vita and go to bed. Try again tomorrow after a Monokuma Theater. So for RJ Waters and Blindcat, that's everything for the second chapter's Deadly Life.
So long. Farewell.
Sayonara.